Is Dying Light the perfect Halloween game, or is it just a waste of your money? I'm Nima, and I want to talk about Dying Light Definitive Edition on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I will say for this review, I did play it on the OLED, and I pretty much played it in handheld mode. I didn't mess with the docked version very much, and I will say when I did, I was sadly disappointed. I had to record video, and as a lot of people may or may not know, when you do that, you have to dock the system in and then play off of another monitor. The graphics for me dropped out pretty significantly, and honestly, it got kind of difficult to see. I really wouldn't suggest this game if you're not going to play in docked mode. Like, if you're a bigger fan of playing docked with a big TV, if you have another option, I would probably go that route. Namely, like even something like the PS4 or Xbox. Like, it's just gonna give you more than what the Switch has. I will say though, in handheld mode, it looks wonderful, and a lot of the textures and stuff that are kind of exposed when playing on a bigger screen they're compressed quite nicely on handheld mode. Now, in Dying Light, you play as undercover agent Kyle Crane, who is sent to infiltrate a quarantine zone in the Middle Eastern city of Haran. Most of the game kind of focuses around this open world zombie environment, with the mechanics being a day and night cycle. During the day, the zombies are rather docile and slow moving, and at night, they become very aggressive, and hunters also show up, which are like a super zombie that come after you. Now, it isn't uncommon to be running around and find larger zombies or larger creatures that will do damage to you during the day, but it's just a little bit easier to get around during the day, and so that's where the mechanic really hits home. The one thing that separates this game from others is that it's not a kill or be killed kind of game. In fact, the fight or flight is very big in this, and flight being pretty important. They really emphasize the parkour and agility as much as they emphasize combat and fighting. Much of the game, you can just run point to point, and it doesn't really hurt you in any way. As where a lot of games, if you do ignore combat, you're not rewarded at all. But in this game, you still earn experience based in your agility. And there are a few certain areas, categories, if you will, that you are able to level up. One being agility, one being combat. And everything that you do directly affects your character and affects the level of the character. And so you can have just a very agile, fast, quick character who maybe isn't the greatest at combat, but doesn't need to be either. For the most part, I would say that this has a lot of the go get 'em quests in the game. Like I said, you start off as an undercover agent. You are, I don't know, discovered, helped, however you want to say it, by a group of people who want to bring back a drug to help the people. And your main job really early on is just to combat another group who's trying to keep the drug, to sell the drug, have more power, and get the drugs before the other group does. And so a lot of it is, hey, go set up this trap, go get this item, go get that, go get that. And you end up working for both, kind of, and it's the same mechanics of go out, get something for us, and, traverse the land of thousands of zombies while doing it. And that does make it pretty fun. The other thing that I really enjoyed about this game is all of the hidden items, the blueprints, weapons that you could create. And I think like this is where the development team kind of borrowed back from Dead Island, because Dead Island was really just a great slasher game, and you could find the most creative and fun ways to kill zombies. And this game seemed a little bit more serious and didn't really seem to have a lot of those until you start finding some of these blueprints and coming up with some of these crazy weapons and insane ways to take down zombies, which is also, like I said, very fun. Not to mention, again, the parkour aspect and the agility aspect of there's certain items and certain things and blueprints that you have to use your agility, you have to use your creativity to obtain. And So I think that this game really does meld both of those worlds quite well. The story in itself is kind of the reason why you come here. You know, it's what motivates you to keep going. And I would say that it's solid. I'm not gonna say it's a great story. It's not something that's completely mind melting, but it's a solid story. It keeps the game moving. But the bigger mechanic, like I said, is just the zombie world. And I think at some point you get to the part of the game where you don't really care as much about the story, and you care more about the hunters and night raiding and things of that nature, or you're out looking for special items or just trying to take down giant zombies and that's what my goal was anyway. I found myself having far more fun trying to trap and kill zombies than I did pushing the narrative of the story. But that doesn't mean that I didn't care or that it wasn't engaging. It just, I think it borrows to the fact that this is a very open world game with a lot to do, and it really sucks you in. The thing I also have to say with the definitive edition is this game came out and then had just a lot of DLC. And you get all of that in one cartridge, which I think is well worth it. One of the main reasons I picked this game up, and I'm guessing why a lot of people are, is because they haven't beaten it and you're getting ready for Dying Light 2. But I will say quickly, I discovered that I slept on this game too much. And especially in the handheld mode, I think it works really well, at least for my situation. I noticed that me and my wife would hand back the Switch back and forth and play for, 20, 30 minutes at a time while, watching a movie or something of that nature. And it just kind of gave us that ability to play a game together while still being in the same room that maybe is, I shouldn't say maybe, is completely mature, and still actually do that around our kids not even be the wiser that we're playing a gruesome, bloody game. But I thoroughly enjoy my time playing the game. In fact, I'm still playing it, to be honest. I haven't completely beaten it. So this is not a full review, but I think I've played enough that I can give you a review of the game, unless the story just has like this crazy twist. But I've put in a solid 25, 30 hours, and a majority of it, like I said, has been finding blueprints and running around creating this chaos for these zombies to live in, rather than for my character to have to live in chaos. It's been quite a lot of fun, and something I'm going to continue to play and go through and really flesh out, because it's not like we have a lot of games like this for the Switch, and this game does it really well, of this survival horror yet open world. It does, I would say, lack horror elements. There's not really as many jump scares. It's not as terrifying as it is on the big screen, I'll be honest. And as I've said, like, if you're looking for something to be scared by, I wouldn't go this route. This has a little bit more fun to it. It can be scary if it's on the bigger screen. It's not, I don't know, it's just not as scary to me on handheld mode. And as I said, regarding handheld mode versus dock mode, I would try to avoid dock mode if possible. If you have no other option, no other way to play the game, and you're really interested in it, and dock mode is your only choice, then yeah, I mean, I would play it. But I'm going to tell you that as I did the recording for this video, I actually took on one of like the real early missions, and the first time I did it in handheld mode, I had no problem. Like, I could see everything, just no real issues. When I did it for the video and I had it in dock mode, so certain things were kind of blurry, kind of out of focus, if you will. Like, I couldn't see certain jump points, and that's really big in this game with the parkour. You have to be able to see where you're going to jump and how to create a path for yourself. And I actually really couldn't. So there's like multiple times in the video that I die, and it's kind of because I couldn't see where I was going and what was going on. I'm not saying it's like completely horrible, but at least for somebody who went from the handheld mode to the dock mode, I can tell you there is a noticeable drop in resolution, which I think is interesting, because in most games it's the opposite. It looks better in dock mode than it does in handheld mode, or at least it did. It's hard to say. Switch OLED makes things different. I understand. But anyway, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are if you're going to pick it up. If you've played it before, if you've already been through all this and you've beaten it and you're just excited for Dying Light 2, or if it's just not your game. I'm curious of any and all of your thoughts. I appreciate you guys. You guys take care. Bye-bye.